you find somebody for $10 an hour and then they bill you for 100 hours, it doesn't mean that they actually produced the results for $1,000. It just means that you paid them $1,000. But if you compare the results they produce with the results they could produce for $1,000, that would be two different numbers. So the rate, the hourly rate, doesn't mean almost anything. It doesn't mean that this is the amount of results you will get for that money. All it means that this is the amount of money you will pay for a calendar hour spent by that person sitting somewhere in the office doing something. There's no even guarantee that that programmer will do something with your project. If you look at all the platforms you can find for freelancers, there's absolutely the same way of work for them. They all work the same. They charge per hour. They can find you a person, they can find you a programmer, designer, a tester, an architect, and then the only difference would be the amount of money they will ask for an hour for that person. But they will not be able to control what that hour is spent on. You don't know what exactly is that hour. This is really intangible piece of work which we pay for. And for every person, that hour means a different thing. So in the end, you pay $10,000 for something which actually costs $1,000. And you don't even know that because it's really subjective. You know that a programmer can charge you. It's not selling of a car or a real estate or some, a box of milk. It's an intellectual work which can be estimated very, very differently. And any software can cost from a few dollars, from a few $100s to a few $1,000,000. So it's always a trade-off between productivity of a person, productivity of a group of people, and the amount of money you pay. The most popular way to deal with that problem is to find so-called the best talented programmers. But even the best talented people will not guarantee their motivation and their engagement with the project for a long time. As soon as they realize, as soon as they understand that nobody really can control what they're doing, nobody can really measure how much results they produce, they automatically start to produce as less as they can just to stay in the job, just to stay with you, with your budget, and keep taking your money. I'm not saying it's because these people are bad. They're for everybody. It happens for all people because it's just only natural to find a better, more comfortable way to live. And this is the most comfortable way, is to find a project which pays enough money and doesn't require actual results returned back. The project just requires us to stay in the office and be in the project. It's a lot of work for you as a customer when you pay per time, because you always need to think what your people have to do in that time. You are already paying them, so you need to find some job for them. You need to find some work for them to do. You need to keep them busy. And sometimes it's not possible because the project needs, for example, you need some time to think what to do next. You need some time to create the design graphic. You need some time to create some user interface mock-ups. And at this time, your programmers have nothing to do, but you need to keep them busy because you're paying them for the week. And you don't know what to do in this week. You don't know what to give them. There are so many stories from programmers telling me that they were hired by customers and the customer didn't really know what to do for a few weeks, but still was paying them. And then the customer disappeared for a few weeks, and then they were still sitting in the front of the computers pretending to do something, and the customer was still paying them. So the problem with full-time engagement and paying per time is that you don't have control of what's going on. You have, even though being a founder of the project, even though being a product owner and the sponsor of the project, you cannot really use your money as a control instrument for producing the product you need. So you're not converting your dollars to lines of codes or features of your product. You're just spending that money to keeping people happy in your project, and then you hope that because they are happy, they will produce some code for you. Sometimes that will happen. Sometimes happy people will produce good code. But that combination is a rare case. So in Xerocracy, it works the other way around. We are not charging for the time programmers spend in the office. We're not charging for a week or a month or so. We are just charging for what they actually deliver. We pay them per ticket. We pay per job completed. And those jobs are really small. We call them micro jobs, micro tasks. And when the micro task is completed, only then we release the payment. It doesn't matter how much time they spend for it. It doesn't matter whether it took 5 minutes or 5 hours. We just pay a fixed budget for each job. And what's more important is that the rates we pay to our programmers are usually higher than they can get in any other platform as freelancers or, of course, as in the office workers. So let's say in our case, programmers are getting like $40 an hour, $50 an hour, when the same person will go to a full-time job somewhere or will go to a freelance platform, the rate will be like $15, $20 or something like that. Because on those platforms, the same people, they will get money for doing way less work, for spending way less energy in the same amount of time. So that's the trick. So when our customers come to us, they see that on our platform rates are higher. We pay 50, 60, sometimes 100, sometimes $150 an hour. And they get surprised because they used to know that the rates of freelancers are like 20, 25, maybe 30. But in our case, they're way higher because you don't pay for just for the time. You don't pay for them being in the office or being in your project. You're paying for results they deliver. That makes a huge difference. So in the end, when you look at your bill, when you look at your expenses by the end of the month, you will see that you will see the list of tasks they completed. You will see the numbers of these tasks. You will see how much results they produced, and then you will, in front of each line, you will see the amount of money we pay them. It makes you more flexible in planning your time, in planning your money, and in spending your money. You will spend them more effectively. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying that you will spend way less money with Xerocracy. It's not a cheap platform. We don't work with cheap programmers. We don't work with people with low rates. Like I said, programmers in our platform, they have quite high rates, and we pay them, decent amount of money. But we only pay them when they deserve that. It means that your $10,000 will be spent way more effectively on Xerocracy than you can spend on many other freelancing platforms.